Hello and welcome back to yet another video. My name is Alex Does F1 Stuff, and this is finally the introduction to a video that I've been planning for a very, very long time now. When I say a long time, it's only been probably just over 2 months, but it's been something that I started at uni and have been working towards producing. This was what I wanted my first video to actually be. Then all the coronavirus happened, then I was moving around a lot at uni and coming home, and my stuff was left everywhere, and it just got sort of forgotten about until now. So as you can tell by the title slide, I'm going to be doing a Formula 1.5 season for 2014, and it will be a full season review. However, nothing too detailed will be covered in this video. This is the bits before the series starts. So the way I'm going to set it out, each season, so 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18 and 19, and then if we do ever get a 2020 season, will be split into 2 videos a season, with the first video covering the first half of the races and in the season, and the second video covering the second half after the summer break. There then may be a little stats video at the very end, only like 5 or 10 minutes long, covering a few random stats that pop up every now and then. So in each video for every single race, I'll be covering the qualifying sessions, Q1, 2 and 3, the race, the fastest lap, and then both the Drivers' Update Championship and the Constructors' Updated Championship. So in this video, I'm just going to go over exactly how I'm going to do all of that, all of the assumptions that I'm making, and how everything is going to work, as every version of the Formula 1.5 season is slightly different. The first thing I want to say is, don't get me wrong, the 1.5 season idea has been around for a very long time. It's just I'm putting my own little spin on it, and this, I haven't seen it done in a great deal of detail before, so I'm expecting the first half of the video to be about 50 minutes to an hour long, because all the other types of videos that I have seen before, it's that like data channel, I can't remember what it's called, Racing Statistics or something, where they have those horizontal bar graphs with time along the bottom, or the races, and the progression of the points going along, and people overtaking them, going up the leaderboard depending on the points that they have. So without further ado, let's just jump straight in to exactly how I will be doing the qualifying sessions and the race sessions, and a few of the assumptions that I will make. So we begin with qualifying. So I've just taken a snippet from a real qualifying session in 2014. I won't say which one it is because it will spoil one of the races in the series, but it is a proper qualifying for the 2014 season. So the people that we are taking out are going to be, of course, Rosberg in the Mercedes, Lewis Hamilton in the Mercedes as well, Fernando Alonso in the Ferrari, Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull, Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull, and then finally Kimi Raikkonen in the Ferrari. So each season I will take out these 6 drivers. Obviously it's not always going to be Raikkonen, Vettel, Ricciardo, Alonso, Hamilton and Rosberg. I will just take out Mercedes, Ferrari and Red Bull. I know that in 2014 Ferrari and Red Bull weren't quite at the top 3, because I think Williams were up there and Force India were a bit up there, but for the basis from 2015, 16, 17, 18 and 19 especially, they have been the 3 dominant teams since the hybrid era. So for the ease of, what's the word I'm looking for? Fairness, I'm going to stick with taking out the Mercedes, the Ferraris and the Red Bulls. So after those 6 drivers have been taken out, I will then shuffle up everybody else, creating these new Q3, Q2 and Q1 sessions. We will then completely eliminate the top 6 drivers. And then we are left with a board that looks a bit like this after I've adjusted everyone's finishing positions. The main takeaway point of this is I will not adjust the Q3, Q2 and Q1 sessions. And by that I mean I will keep the... I really should have scripted this. So for Q3 we normally have 10 drivers. At the minute, there are 5 in there, as 5 were removed. I will not move Perez, Kvyat, Hulkenberg, Sainz and Gutierrez into Q3 or create my own equally spaced Q3, Q2 and Q1 sessions. And that is simply because some qualifying sessions are rain affected or grip affected or whatever, and some of the times in Q1 are faster than those in Q2, and then those are then faster than those in Q3. And then also vice versa, depending on if it's a drying track or a wetting track. So that means there will be a variation of drivers who make it through to Q3 and Q2 as well, or those who are eliminated in Q1. I just thought I'd get that out of the way. And then also, it will not be displayed like this. I will go over each individual session on its own slide. However, one major difference is I will be reversing the order. I'm only going to reverse the order as it adds just a little bit more suspense, and I quite like that. So after I created the whole PowerPoint structure, it's like 160 odd slides, but that doesn't really matter. It felt nicer revealing it back to front, because not many people know. People would know who finished pole and won the race the majority of the time in the normal 2014 season, but they won't necessarily know who was the runner-up, or where did Williams finish, or where did McLaren finish, where was the Force India, or the Mauritius, or the Caterhams. And revealing it back to front just added a bit more suspense, rather than just going, first was a Williams, or first was a Toro Rosso, or first was a Force India, like straight off the bat. It just didn't sit right with me as I was doing some practice runs of it, so for that reason, everything will be revealed back to front. So there we go, that is qualifying, and we will move swiftly on into the race. If I have missed anything out or I have caused any confusion, let me know. I know at the moment no one's watching, but doesn't really matter. I'ma just still say that. So taking a look at the race, this is again a typical race finish. We will take out the same drivers, so Hamilton in the Mercedes, Rosberg also in the Mercedes, Daniel Ricciardo in the Red Bull, Sebastian Vettel in the Red Bull as well. I should have sped up this animation a little bit. Alonso in the Ferrari, and Raikkonen in the Ferrari 2. We will then, of course, bunch everybody else up a little bit and get rid of the top 6. So with that new order, we'll then end up with a table that looks a bit like this, with the points or the positions adjusted. Now, another important thing to note is I will not be changing the points system. They will still run 25 through to 1 for 1st to 10th place. Any driver that does not finish, any driver that doesn't finish but is placed inside the top 10 will still score their points. Also, as some of you may know, in 2014, in the latter half of the season, we did lose both Mauritius and both Caterhams for the last 3 or the last 4 races. I will not be adjusting anything for this. The points system will still be the same. We'd have just lost 4 drivers out of the 16 that are now here by taking out the top 6. I didn't want to make any adjustments for it to seem any sort of unfair advantage or whatever by changing things around. And again, obviously the table won't look exactly like this. I will be reversing it, and it will look a bit like that, with last first and first last. So taking a look at the biggest assumption that I have made, so we move to this slide. It's sort of a shoddy visual for this, but it sort of explains my point quite well. So if I just play this here, you'll see that Raikkonen gets in front of Massa but sort of goes a bit deep, hits the outside wall, spins into the track, and Massa crashes into him. Really shoddy animation, but it does illustrate the point quite nicely. What happens if a driver that is not a Mercedes, Red Bull or a Ferrari has an accident with a Mercedes, Red Bull or Ferrari? Picture 2014 Britain at Silverstone. When this exact incident did happen, Raikkonen smashed into the wall off of the Wellington Straight, going under the bridge, and then Massa smashes into him. In an instant like this, we would have ended up in the official timings, both Raikkonen and Massa would be a DNF finish, and in my season review, Massa would stay DNF'd. I would not put him back in the results because I wouldn't know where to put him. So even though Raikkonen has been taken out of the race, so technically there wouldn't be a Raikkonen for Massa to crash into, Massa would stay retired. I don't want to add that much sort of fantasy to it. I just want to keep it as real as possible, but that is an element of fantasy. Anyway, it doesn't matter. That's just one of the assumptions that I have made. And finally, taking a look at the championships, I don't have any of the animations in here. Not entirely sure why I chose not to. I'll just sort of briefly go over them. So like with the fantasy prediction season that I have, I'll pop a little link in the card in the corner. I go over the drivers' gains that they have made from the Grand Prix that has just occurred. There is then a little animation of the drivers shuffling about, and then there is a table for their differences after the race. This is then applied exactly the same to the constructors with the gains, the shuffle, and the difference. And that is exactly how I'm going to display it here. There will be a gains table, there will be a shuffle animation, and then there will be a differences table. So I hope that all makes sense. That's just a quick rundown of this series that will hopefully be coming out at some point after this video. Whether it's a week after, whether it's 2 weeks after, I'm not sure. This is just a sort of introduction, something to pop out there to get you sort of ready for whenever this video decides to drop. I will have to break it down into different recording sessions because it will be long. I'm saying this now, it is going to be a long video, even for the first part, and then the second part will come out probably 2, 3, maybe even 4 weeks after the first part as well. And there we go, that's all I've got for you today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you whenever I upload my next video.